Right, so with that, we've got something called transient ischemic attacks. Also called TIAs. What does the public call TIAs? They're going to call them mini strokes. So they may say, yeah, I've had mini strokes. Okay. What other disease process can we really, is analogous to these mini strokes? Angina, all right, or angina. It's exactly the same pathophysiology. You have some sort of a temporary blockage of blood flow to the brain that gets better with rest and time. Typically, our TIAs are going to resolve within 24 hours. When we get there, we see them as having signs and symptoms of a stroke. And they really are. They're having some sort of cognitive deficit. They may have unilateral weakness or paralysis. We're still going to treat them as if they're having a stroke. We're going to take them to a stroke center. Maybe when we get on scene at their house, they're asymptomatic. They feel better. But in your history that you gather of their present illness, you find out that they had signs and symptoms that were similar to a stroke. Definitely going to want to highly encourage these patients to go get looked at. It's just like angina, these mini strokes or these TIAs are a precursor to the actual event. Right? This would be like the small little earthquake that's leading up to the 10.0 earthquake. You need to get them. It's all right. Knock it on wood. You need to definitely get these patients evaluated. It's scary. Right?
Virus, floods, hurricanes.
Yeah. It's going to happen. Or North Korea. Whatever it is. All right. So the patho for our TIAs, they're going to be very similar to exactly what's going on with our stroke. So it's similar to our ischemic strokes. However, the symptoms generally are going to resolve within 24 hours. And think of these as a precursor to stroke. So with that being said, you need to try to encourage these patients to go get evaluated. And sometimes, no matter what you say, you can't convince them to go. Like, oh, I've had these before. At least encourage them to follow up with their primary doctor so that it is taken care of. Because this could be something where they just need to get their blood pressure managed or get put on different medication to prevent this. So management is going to be basically the same as for stroke. And just remember that hypertension is the number one preventable cause. So what kind of antihypertensive agents do we carry potentially? What's that? Labetalol is probably the one that you guys are more familiar with. If they're having some sort of a hypertensive crisis, right, one of those signs and symptoms can be signs and symptoms of stroke. Is labetalol something that we may want to consider? Is it indicated for hypertensive stroke, right? Because you don't know, is the stroke symptoms due to the fact that they've got high blood pressure, or is the high blood pressure due to the fact that they've just had a hemorrhagic stroke, right? So we can't definitively figure that out. So that's why in our hypertensive patients that are having signs and symptoms of stroke, it's not something that you would want to give them. All right, let that be dictated by doctors at the hospital. Unless it says something otherwise in your protocols, generally you're not going to give a beta blocker to try to bring down that blood pressure. Also, please don't give them nitroglycerin. Right? It's like, oh, it's going to drop their blood pressure and it'll help them out. Don't give them nitroglycerin, because what does nitroglycerin do to blood vessels? is it dilates them. If they're having a hemorrhagic stroke, probably not the thing we want to do. All right? All right, so that's our TIAs.